The day had been a whirlwind of lectures, assignments, and the general chaos that came with being a college student. By the time evening rolled around, I was exhausted both mentally and physically. As I trudged back home, the weight of my backpack digging into my shoulders, all I could think about was collapsing into bed and letting sleep wash over me like a comforting wave. Finally reaching my house, I fumbled with the keys for a moment before unlocking the front door and stepping inside. The familiar scent of home greeted me, a comforting blend of warm cookies and fresh laundry that never failed to make me smile. Dropping my backpack by the door, I kicked off my shoes and made my way into the kitchen, where I found a note from my mom reminding me to take out the trash. With a resigned sigh, I grabbed the garbage bag from under the sink and headed outside to the trash cans. The night air was cool and crisp, a welcome change from the stuffy halls of the college dorms. As I dumped the trash into the bin, I couldn't help but marvel at the stillness of the suburban street, the only sound the distant hum of traffic from the nearby highway. Trash duty completed, I made my way back inside and set about my evening routine. After a quick dinner of leftovers, I retreated to my room to tackle some homework. But as I sat at my desk, staring blankly at my textbooks, I couldn't shake the feeling of restlessness that gnawed at the edges of my mind. With a frustrated sigh, I pushed my books aside and flopped onto my bed, staring up at the ceiling in the dim light of my desk lamp. The minutes ticked by slowly, each one stretching out into eternity as I lay there lost in thought. And then, just as I was on the verge of drifting off to sleep, I heard the faint sound of dogs barking in the distance. At first, I thought nothing of it, chalking it up to a neighbor's pet, or maybe just a passing car. But as the barking grew louder, more insistent, a sense of unease began to creep over me. There was something about the sound that didn't sit right with me, something primal and unsettling that sent a shiver down my spine. Unable to ignore it any longer, I dragged myself out of bed and made my way to the window, pulling back the curtains to peer out into the night. The street below was quiet and deserted, bathed in the soft glow of the streetlights. And then movement caught my eye, a strange, pulsating light hovering in the sky. At first, I thought it was just a trick of the light, a reflection off a passing plane or a distant star. But as I watched, the light grew brighter, more distinct, taking on a shape that was unmistakably not of this world. The object seemed to pulse and shimmer, as if it were alive, its surface rippling and undulating in a way that defied explanation. It cast an eerie glow in the darkness, illuminating the surrounding clouds with an otherworldly light. As I watched in awe, the object began to move, gliding effortlessly through the night sky with a grace that belied its immense size. It moved with a purpose, its movements precise and calculated, as if it were following some unseen path through the heavens. But what struck me the most was the silence. Despite its immense size and apparent speed, the object made no sound as it moved, no roar of engines or rush of air. It was as if it were defying the laws of physics, moving through the air with a silent grace that seemed almost supernatural. My heart began to race as I watched in awe, unable to tear my eyes away from the spectacle unfolding before me. It was like something out of a sci-fi movie, a shimmering, metallic object hanging in the sky, defying all laws of physics. And then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the object noticed me. With a sudden burst of movement, it shot off into the night sky, leaving me standing there in shock and disbelief. For a moment, I was frozen in place, unable to process what I had just witnessed. But as the adrenaline began to fade, a sense of fear crept over me. What had I just seen? And more importantly, what did it mean? I stumbled backwards, retreating from the window and collapsing onto my bed in a state of shock. My mind raced with a million questions, each one more terrifying than the last. As I lay there in bed, my mind whirling with thoughts of the mysterious object and the implications of its presence, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that settled over me like a heavy blanket. The events of the evening had left me shaken, questioning everything I thought I knew about the world and my place in it. But as the hours ticked by and exhaustion finally began to catch up with me, sleep eventually claimed me, pulling me into its comforting embrace and offering a brief respite from the chaos of the night. In the days that followed, I couldn't stop thinking about what I had seen. I scoured the internet for answers, searching for any information that might shed light on the strange object that had invaded my peaceful suburban neighborhood. But no matter how much I searched, I found no answers, only more questions. And as time passed, the memory of that fateful night began to fade, overshadowed by the demands of everyday life. But deep down, I knew that I would never forget the sight of that strange, otherworldly object hanging in the sky, a silent reminder of the vast mysteries that lay just beyond the horizon. From that day on, I approached each night with a newfound sense of wonder and trepidation, knowing that the universe was far stranger and more mysterious than I could ever imagine. And though I may never fully understand what I saw that night, one thing is certain: it was an experience that would stay with me for the rest of my days, a reminder of the thin veil that separates our world from the vast unknown that lies beyond. But despite the fear and uncertainty that gnawed at my insides, one thing was clear: my life would never be the same again. From that moment on, I knew that I would be haunted by the memory of that strange, otherworldly object hovering in the night sky, a reminder of the vast unknown that lurked just beyond the reaches of our world. As time went on, the memory of the strange object in the sky began to fade into the background of my life, gradually becoming just another bizarre anecdote in the tapestry of my experiences. Life went on, and I found myself immersed in the routines and rhythms of college, surrounded by friends and classmates who shared my passions and interests. With each passing day, the memory of that fateful night grew more distant, overshadowed by the laughter and camaraderie of my newfound friendships. I found solace in the company of others, sharing jokes and stories late into the night, forging bonds that would last a lifetime. And as I laughed and joked with my friends, the memory of the strange object in the sky seemed less and less important, fading into the background of my consciousness like a dream upon waking. It became just another story to tell, a strange and inexplicable event that had somehow become a part of my past. In the end, I realized that life was too short to dwell on the mysteries of the universe. There were friends to be made, adventures to be had, and a world waiting to be explored. And so, with a smile on my face and a spring in my step, I embraced the present moment, leaving the mysteries of the past behind me as I looked forward to the adventures that lay ahead.